And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good, Rob. How you doing?
Oh, pleasant.
Good.
You know, I've been better, been worse. I'm kind of going down that line of, I'm happy enough.
Happy enough. Okay.
You know what I mean?
I get you.
There's a guy who the book I read, and he kind of talks about like that. Like you have to be happy enough. This is like one of the greatest quotes I've heard in a long time. Happy enough begins with the first radically accepting where you are now. And when you're concluding that nothing's changed, you'd actually be okay. That doesn't mean that there aren't things we want to strive for. It just means we are starting from a place of security, but but a place of peace. And that's enough. And I kind of agree with that. I'm happy enough. If things don't change, I'm still going to be okay.
See, and I don't know, that happy enough thing is a little bit weird to me. I'm happy. I'm enjoying life. I mean, there's a lot that I'm doing to change things. And like we're starting a lot of construction on our house. And as much as it's all on me, it's all on my shoulders. But as much as it is, I'm kind of digging this world, like doing things for myself and taking care of life. I'm not doing too bad.
Well, and again, I think that quote kind of says it. It doesn't mean you're not striving for more. It just means that if it doesn't change, you're all right.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, this is episode 150.
Who knew we would get this far? That's just insanity to me.
Yeah, me too, actually. And I looked at this show from a totally different standpoint, I think, from the beginning. So, yeah, it's still very bizarre to me. I mean, that
And neither of us has said we want to stop. Not once.
No. Well, because we like to vent. I think.
We like to talk.
Yeah, this is a good thing. I mean, who would have thought September of 21 that we'd still be going in June of 2024.
Yeah, who knew? Because we were in such a different place in our lives then.
Yeah.
And in the world, the whole world was different at that point.
That is very correct. Yeah, I think that we were in some very different places that long ago, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, just a different thing. But 150, I think that's our first goal was 50. Then
I think our first goal was 10.
Well, yeah, because the average was like 7, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then I think after that, it was more just, hey, let's get to 100. 150. So, obviously next goal, 200. And we'll go from there and see what happens. But, life keeps changing. Who knows where we'll all be in a year or two. And we just got to keep on going.
I'm excited. It's nice to have a platform where you could see the changes in life as we've gone on. So I kind of like that.
Yeah. I've gone back and listened to some of the like really early shows.
Oh,
like really early ones, like under 10.
Oy.
And yeah, they're a little rough. Definitely a lot more raw, but we were totally in a different place. Oh, man. Yeah. Just saw the world different. And obviously with the things that have happened during this, like how I talked about certain things during a certain time period were like, I don't want to say dark, but definitely a little different for sure. So, but 150, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Congrats, actually.
Yeah. Yay for us. Right.
Yeah.
And one more applause.
Exactly.
So this show was, I sent you the email.
We've been wanting to do this a while.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
This was written by my friend in North Carolina as show notes. I want to say over 2 years ago.
Wow. It's been that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been that long. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's been that long because I think that's when I visited.
Okay.
So, and it was before that she wrote these notes. This was on an email. This wasn't like written when I was there. So this is a while ago, but like I had kept on wanting to do it and it kind of sat, and then I didn't know where the email was, and I had to go into my email and type in certain words to try to find it. So I finally found it. So I was kind of wanted to do this one. I also wanted to do it just because I think it's important in today's day and age. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube about dating and the difference of opinion that both men and women have now.
Mm-hmm.
I think dating in general is in a horrible position. Horrible.
You need to quit watching all those videos.
But I watch both. But I watch both sides, and I think that they both have good and bad. And again, I don't think it's people our age that are making these videos. Mm-hmm. So that's a little different. But I think that it's definitely, there are people that are in their 40s that are having many, many, many troubles dating, and for good reason. I think that we're both in different places. Men are I think marriage is just something that is not looked at as being anything worth doing anymore. And I think that both sides, both sexes want to tick boxes. And if you don't tick every single box, there's no reason to do it. I'm not a believer in that, but look, I think that you can date broken people and be okay, because sometimes you both.
Yeah. If you have friends that are broken, you could do anything. You know what I mean? Like everybody's by our age, everybody's got something that they're trying to deal with or move on from or get over. So it makes sense that you're not going to find somebody who's like right out of the box. You know what I mean?
Right. I also think that a lot of the dating apps and your choice makes things very hard as well. You could go out on a couple of dates and then never hear from somebody again. And they don't tell you like, hey, I don't want to date you anymore. They just disappear. Mm-hmm. And now no one goes on a date and tells you who they are. Because if you went out and started telling people exactly who you were, a lot of people would just be like, I got to go, because we all have problems. It's like, oh, I got to do this all the time. I'm watching these kids. I'm doing this. I work a lot. By the time you get out of that first date, you're so fucking winded. You're just like, oh yeah, I'd rather not date. I'm just fucking, or I don't want to tell people. I don't want to tell 25 people my story. Mm-hmm. So, but part of that is part of what we're going to talk about. And is chivalry dead? Have men decided that they're not going to be chivalrous anymore because women, for one, don't want it or don't appreciate it anymore?
I don't know about that.
And I think there's something to that. But again, I don't think.
I think it could be an age thing though, too.
For sure. I think that's a totally age thing. We kind of talked about it before we got on, and I'll kind of use my son as the example. But I do agree that I think in our age group, it's definitely something that still is around. But I also think that men might just think that it's not worth it anymore, because I think at our age too, it's like, if you're in a serious relationship and you're walking to the car, your woman might just walk to the car and open the door and get in by herself. So and then you might have to fucking remind them like, hey, I really wanted to open the door for you. I think it's a weird thing, because I dated a young girl and she was like, why are you opening the door for me? It was very bizarre. But here, let's go down this kind of the line, because we have some show notes, and I think that these show notes kind of hit pretty much, on what's kind of happened. We talked about like during the 50s and 60s, most women were at home and housewives and homemakers, right? They were responsible for keeping the house, raising the kids, entertaining while the husbands worked. Mm-hmm. And I think that was, chivalry was very, very strong then, right? Because men felt like, hey, the woman takes care of the home. I'm going to take care of her and make her feel like she is the best part of that. Mm-hmm. And I think that Now, look, and we could argue semantics with the outliers, right? The shitty men and shitty women of that time period. But I think all in all, I mean, if you look at Leave It to Beaver,
as a rule, people did follow certain male female role model or roles
correct,
in the home, and that was part of how life went.
yeah, very Leave It to Beaver, which fuck on paper, man. I kind of wish I'd have lived in that time period. I don't know. Then we go to like the 70s, right? When women entered the workforce, you know, due to war during the 40s and everything. Obviously, a lot of things during that time. And then also Vietnam with, you know, women went to work because men were fighting and we needed people to do assembly work jobs.
Mm-hmm.
That probably started where the, you know, 70s and early 80s women's lib movement, it put pressure in the corporate world. You know, women went to start doing men's jobs. So, you know, did these changes shift the roles in relationships? Do you think that
absolutely did.
Mm-hmm.
When women had to go to work, when women had to take care of kids because their husbands or significant others weren't around, I think that really started to shift the way women thought. Like, if I'm doing everything, I don't need a man. Mm-hmm. And the sad thing is they did need a man. They just didn't have a man. That was the difference. You know, they had to make themselves feel better by saying I could do it all by myself because they were doing it by themselves. And I think women did that because they felt like they weren't loved or they weren't valued enough. And so that started to really change this shift in how women thought.
Yeah, I think the 80s movement, I would probably say it started then, late 70s and through the 80s. It probably wasn't as big. I think the 90s is when it really kind of kicked off. Mm-hmm. But because like I think during our time period of being in high school, you know, in the 80s or middle school and high school, there was still a lot of families. And I think that chivalry was probably still there. But I definitely think it was starting to weaken, right? Where women just started being
life got very busy. If you notice, when we were younger, we weren't signed up for every sport, every art class, every dance class, everything like kids are now. Like parents literally go from one thing to the next thing for their children. But when we were younger, we were allowed to go outside and not come home until the street lights came on. Nobody even worried about us until then. We didn't have parents that were on the go to where everything needed to be supported by one or the other, but never two. You know, when I remember when I was in softball, my mom and my dad were there. When I did Girl Scouts, my mom and my dad helped out with things. Family was still together too. My grandparents were, God bless them, they were always there. Drove me crazy at times because, you know, there's things that you want to do that your grandparents don't want to see you do, or they don't want you to do. And you're wanting to do them anyway because your age, and that conflict between having them there versus not was at times difficult, but so fortunate to have had my family around so that we were supported in every way. But you don't see that either. The family is completely different.
I think the 80s, though, and I will say that I think that's when the bigger divorce movement started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
I think you saw way more divorces start in the late 70s, early 80s. And I think, you know, would be the shift, right? You know, that my next question on here was, did men start doing things differently or not at all? And I think, yes, I think that men, because of the divorce rate, obviously separated families. Then men on the other side started doing things when they started dating differently, and women started dating differently again after that post-divorce. Things probably did change, and you probably saw men not doing as many chivalrous things anymore, like opening doors or you know, doing the more traditional thing. And look, the 80s was a wild period. And I think that, you know, it was also a period of excess. So I
Mhm.
think that when you went clubbing in the 80s, you were probably fishing in a barrel, right? You know, it was much easier to find someone who might not want a relationship or that kind of tradition and go on. Um, but I do think with, you know, I think men obviously started changing during that time period. The women's lib movement changed things. It gave both sides different views, and I think that's when the break probably started happening that we
Mhm.
definitely see today. Um, you know, it, with the women's rights movement, Me Too, the fight for equality. Do you think women still want a traditional relationship?
I don't think that women who are of a certain age even know what they want. So I know that my age group still does, even though sometimes we don't know how to act. Like I have a friend that he's like, why don't you let me open the door? Let me drive, let me do these things. I'm so used to doing things myself that I don't even think about it. Or, if you look exhausted and I'm not, let me help you. So I struggle with that. And I've been told you need to stop being, let me open the door. I I have a hard time because I'm so used to doing everything for myself. Not that I
Mhm.
don't want it. I do
Right.
want it, but it's not about the guy at all. It's about me learning how to step back and allow that to happen because in my life, whether when I was married or, even now living with my dad, like I do everything for myself. I do everything for everybody. So I have to remember to back up and allow for that. But it doesn't mean that I don't want it. It
Mhm.
just means I'm not good at it.
I think that there's both sides of that. Like you said, I think that there's women now, even in our age group, that don't want any of that shit. They're so strong, independent.
They're
Um,
also so damaged. They're damaged to the point where they can't even express that that's something that they would like. You know what I mean?
mhm.
We people have been so shitty to one another that showing a sign of weakness or showing a sign of submissiveness is a sign of weakness. And that's
Mhm.
really not the case.
Yeah, because I think that submission is kind of like it's a two-way street. I think that some men have to have some submission to their wife as well. I mean, we live in a world of OnlyFans and cell phones and porn that's at your hand. So you have to be able to say, look, if I need to give up some things to get other things and vice versa. I, I think that a lot of women don't know what they want, period. And I
Oh,
think a lot
that's
of
true
men
too.
don't know what they want, period. Um,
Or they
it,
do and they can't get to a place of vulnerability to have that.
yeah. I also think that the dating world inside of chivalry is, um, but it's so no one has intention, right? People are dating just to date. I heard some statistics that kind of blew me away. 1 in every 3 women go on dates just to eat.
What?
Yep. They have no intention of having any kind of relationship, don't care. They go just to eat. Um, and these are like polls that are taken by people. So they're asking women and these are the answers. So I think that we're in such a bizarre place right now. No one has intention. No one is dating to get in a relationship anymore. They're dating for either to have sex,
And
to
it's not
get a meal.
nobody because people do date to get to know people.
No, I
Women do
agree.
date to have a relationship, a partner, you know,
I think both sides do.
it's not dead. We just have some really shitty on end of the spectrum, people that are doing things that they know better to do. You don't treat people like that.
Well, I agree, but and again, do I think it's our generation? Probably not. But I think that along the board, you know, being chivalrous to me is something that it was brought up in me.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge proponent. I don't like not opening the car door for a lot of reasons. I'm like really big on safety. And if I can get my mate in the car, I want her to lock the door until I'm on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Just because now I know that she's safe. I don't have to worry about her. I have to worry about me getting in the car now. And, you know, if I have, weapon on me where I can know what I'm doing, I carry a pocket knife. I know what I need to do. If I need to get to the car, I know who's around me. I know that no person's going to walk up and open her door. So, and not only that, it's a protection thing. I know it's good to know and it makes them feel like they're safe. That's a big deal.
It also
Same with
makes
opening the
a
door.
woman feel like they're supported. You know, when
there you go.
when you are making sure that the woman gets in the car safely, that's being supported, that's being loved, that's being nurtured, that's being cared for. Those are things that show from a man, I got you. And those are all really good things when you stop and look at it that way. Not that we can't take care of ourselves, but that we got somebody there that's got us even when we're in a vulnerable place or we can't do certain things.
Here's some good examples. Because I think that a lot of these hold true. The person who helped us with these show notes, she works for a huge corporation. I mean, big. If I said the name, you would know in a second. She said, single women working in the corporate world for 30 years can definitely take care of myself. I can do everything for myself, but I prefer to be treated like a lady. And I think that is a huge statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we both want to feel like the man wants to feel like a fucking man. Like he wants to feel like he's, admired and protective and those things. And I think a girl wants to feel the exact thing as well. So I think that's a great statement. But now here's the thing that she did put. She goes, here's some examples of that. Doors opened, chairs pulled out, help on with my coat, and a man drives. Now, I will tell you that I'm okay with 3 of 4. I would do all of them, but the chair pulled out thing is kind of a weird thing. I generally don't sit until they sit. But I'm all up for pulling a chair out if that's your thing. I'll always open doors. That's just who I am. Helping on with a coat, I think, is the cutest thing in the whole world.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. And a man driving for me is just a mental thing. I don't like not driving. I don't even like being a passenger in my male friends' cars.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way. Exactly the same way.
It's not, but I mean, will I do it? Sure. And my friend down the street has driven me around multiple times. I'm okay with it. Matter of fact, not too long ago, just the other day, we, went somewhere. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the
driving too if they're sober and they're not tired. If somebody's not sober or they're tired, let me do it. You know what I mean?
That's a whole other thing, though.
But other than that, I'm cool to let somebody do it. If I feel like it's going to be a safe situation, sure. But I'm not opposed to also driving and making sure that we get there safely, because we should be putting in women should putting in effort as well. And our job is to back up our man.
I'm a big proponent of driving too, because I like to sit with my hand on my girl's leg or holding hands or whatever. And that's just me. So I just feel better about it. But have I done it? Yeah. And I don't think that it's, making my masculine energy fall if a woman drives me somewhere. I would just not do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I think, and that's also to me a safety thing. You're right. Like, I just feel better.
And even I've got a lot of shit about a man riding on the back of the motorcycle. Well, if you don't know how to ride, or if you don't know how to drive a motorcycle, you got to sit in the back, because I'm the only one that knows how to work the damn thing, right?
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I hear that's the bitch seat. I hear all these things, and then I think to myself, I get that, because a man should be the one driving, supposedly. But on the other hand, if you're sitting in the back and I've got my hand on on everything that it needs to be on, you could have your arms around me. You could be doing whatever the hell you want to me, and I can't do anything about it. I've got to hold on to the handles, right? So to me, it's like even that doesn't completely make sense, because I would want a strong woman that could do all those things, that could bring some extra something to my life, that's got like this chick could handle her own. I think a man should like that. But at the same time, he should be strong enough to let me take the lead sometimes, especially if he doesn't know how to be on a bike and ride it. But I don't think it shows weakness. I think it shows strength. Like, look, this is my partner in life, and she is a badass, and I encourage her to be a badass. So I have a hard time with that component of it. Like, it's okay for me to show you that I got you too, that I'm capable too. So I don't. Not that it has anything to do with chivalry. It does not, because I still want a man to be a man. I still want somebody to hold my hand. I still want somebody to walk on the outside of the sidewalk. I want my doors open for me. If I could remember, because most of the time a man will say, here, go ahead of me. And then when you come up to a door, I feel weird standing there and letting him rush up to open the door for me. I don't want to feel like that with him, like that he's got to rush and to do that. But at the same time, I like seeing it. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like kind of, it makes me feel a little helpless. Or should I expect that? Or should I just see if he does it? I
think so.
I struggle with that. I should just accept it.
Yeah, you should just accept it.
Okay.
And it's okay to slow down. I went to the gym the other day with my friend down the street, and we were working out. We did our thing, and we were walking towards the door. She slowed down. Or at least I thought she did. I'm going to open the door for her, and I think she knows that, which is fine. And she says thank you every time. And I would guess if I was in a relationship with her, she would, you shouldn't say thank you anymore. It should be like, I'm going to do it, sweetie. Like,
no, I think you should always say thank you, because I think that's part of the reason that men and women are having problems, is because men feel taken for granted.
Okay. I mean, I would say I wouldn't expect it every single time. If I'm in a relationship with you, and I mean a committed, like not dates, I mean a committed relationship, after the 100th time, sweetie, I'm going to open the door for you. And I know you are appreciative of it because of whatever, not only that, I'm probably going to smack your ass on the way by anyway.
I love that.
Yeah. You know what's going to happen. Like that's the thank you enough, or whatever. Here's the next little thing on our notes, because I think this is kind of one that is going to be towards you. It says, are you willing to let a man be a man and treating him as such, like being a protector and a provider? If you're strong-willed and a woman of modern femininity or feminism, are you going to let a man be a man? Because, we've been told so often now that any kind of masculinity is toxic.
I think it's sexy.
I mean,
I think it's sexy when a man is doing man things and he is being unapologetic for it. When he is just like going for it, I think that's sexy. And I don't believe that men should change that. I know that women are like, I don't like that. It's toxic. It's this, it's that. Women need to get over themselves, because I don't see men doing anything wrong.
I kind of agree. I'll give you the example that I think is a great one. Everyone all these women start talking about, oh, this guy's toxic or this guy's just, it's like, oh, carrying a gun, why do you need to carry a gun? You're so insecure and you're, blah, blah, blah. Until someone needs that, right? It's all toxic until someone's, beating up your girlfriend and they're begging for help. And what is the guy supposed to just turn around and go out, fend for yourself? Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're in the same house and there's a noise out there in the living room, should I roll over and go, hey, go see what that is?
No, that's part of being the protector. Yeah.
To me, that's it.
I'll do it. I will do it. And I have done it. I've taken a bat to the front door and opened the door because somebody was banging on it for sure.
But you should alone. If you're alone and you live in your own place, you are your own protector. But the whole point of being with somebody who is your mate.
Absolutely. Is to be behind somebody.
That is part of chivalry.
Absolutely.
The chivalry is that I'm going to put my life in front of yours because I love you and I am the protector of the house and that's my job.
Mm-hmm.
And look, and we all have a place. And I think that is there chivalry that is a woman's job? Probably. But we probably wouldn't call it that. It's whatever, someone asked me the other day, like, what are you looking for in a relationship? And I said, peace. I want to come home to somebody who wants me there, who wants to talk with me, who wants to sit on the couch and not have their fucking phone in their hand. These are important things. And to me, that's the other side of chivalry. I'm going to do the things that a man should do. I'm going to take care of the bills and make sure that they're paid. Even if we're in putting money in together, I'm going to make sure that the house those things are done and that the money is where it needs to be. Because I know my friend down the street straight told me to my face, I'm not good with money. And that's okay. Like I showed her a picture one day of my Outlook screen, and I have an Outlook calendar that has all these colored boxes that are things I need to do. This is when the rent's paid. This is when this bill's due. Because I'm alone and I have to make sure that's done. Now, if I was in a relationship with her, I do the exact same thing with her bills. I would have them all color coded and I would get something to tell me because I would expect something else from her, whatever that is. I don't expect the three things that we always talk about, like dinner, laundry, and, cleaning, only because I do them right now. But if that's the place that we're taking, then yeah, these are the things that we're going to talk about. But, this goes to the next kind of thing. Like, are women going, like both sides of this chivalry for the men's side is, are you going to share responsibilities? The house, the family. We live in a different world now. So
and I think
chivalry.
we should share the responsibilities. I don't think it needs to be black and white, like you take care of the house and I'll take care of the yard sort of things, because there's times where both men and women need help and need support. Mm-hmm. So I think that you should try to find a happy medium where you're both spending time together doing what needs to be done. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing from one side or the other. But there definitely should be, like, say you're in a relationship and the woman gets sick. She's sick for a week. Then you should be the one to help, make whatever dinners need to be made or help with the laundry, like put in the extra because she can't, and vice versa. I could do anything that needs to be done, including pushing a lawnmower need be. You know what I mean? Like, I'm capable because I was raised to be self-sufficient. But on the other hand, when you're with a partner, that should be your ride or die. You do anything for them just like they would do anything for you. And that's just the way it should be. And then lines do get blurred as what's the man's role and what's the woman's role. But
sure.
But it's about supporting your mate.
I think that what you said it holds very true. Like, let's say I'll give you two examples. If you're with somebody and you have no kids, you're right. If she gets sick, a man picking up the slack is chivalrous. That is, even if, like, let's say you don't live together, let's say you're dating and it's a serious commitment, but you haven't moved in with each other yet. What, I'm throwing some hypotheticals. If my mate who lives down the street is sick, I'm going to visit her every day and help out because that's chivalrous. That's, hey, I know you're sick. You're not doing well. Let's say you're not even sick. Things are just shitty and you need some help. I'm going to come by because that's what I should do, because that's what a man does. He helps pick up the slack.
Equal to a man, or equal to that, a woman should do it as well. If your mate is sick or your mate gets hurt or your mate, something happens, you should drop everything, get to them, make sure that their needs are handled and that they're cared for, because that's part of the job. That's part of being the mom figure, the mother role, the wife. The wife is supposed to care for you and make it okay for you to have not weaknesses, but almost, I guess, for lack of a better word, like when you're not there and you can't do things that you normally do, a woman should be there to support and to give the loving side, do the caring, do the support also. But that's not a male or female role. That's just a partner role.
Correct. And I think that, like, that's kind of where I was telling you that there is chivalry on both sides without men always having to be the chivalrous one. Look, I hate when I watch these videos and these women are going, oh, they just want another mom. Like, I already had one. I don't need another mom.
Yeah.
I don't.
You don't sleep with your mom.
No.
So that kills that right there.
But I also don't want the mother figure. Do I want someone to support me and go, hey, everything's going to be okay? Sure. That's a partner thing. But let's not lose faith in a chivalrous man that wants to do manly things for you. My friend down the street is very much into that. I think that if we got there, she would like that part of me, because I do want to be that part. I do want to be that side of that. And she comes from a more traditional home, which now she's in her 40s. So that makes sense. I look at today's day and age where, like I said, I was going to use my kid as as an example. He had a friend in town. We were all walking to the car. We were going to go to dinner. He walked right past the back door and opened his door and sat down. And I saw her not waiting, but definitely slowing down. And she ended up getting in the back seat. And I kind of said something like, he'll learn one day. And I was calling him out just a little bit, but after that, he started opening the car door for her. And I was like, look, dude, you're going to earn her respect way more, because she understands that you give a shit about her getting in the car okay. And it's the small things that add up long term.
I remember. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just trying to lay a foundation for him for later on.
Yeah. When I was growing up, I had twin cousins that were always with me, and I was like 16 years older than them. So I was with them 24/7. They were always in my care. And from a very early age, I was like, look, this is how you need to be as a man. And I don't care if it's your grandmother. I don't care if it's your mother. I don't care if it's your aunt, it's your cousin, it's any elder. You need to do these things. And I was on them from the time they were like 5 or 6, because I remember I went through a really bad breakup and I didn't want them to turn into the same asshole that I had dated. So I was going to tell them what they needed to do and expect that of them. And they are, to this day, super chivalrous. And I told them, I don't give a shit what anybody says. You do that because that's what I expect of you. As the person who's helping raise you, you will do that. And I find that people like them more. They're in their 30s now. And I find that as people, my friends, my family, they like them more because they are caring. They do pay attention to those details, and they do it without expectation. They know if I give them a look, they better have done that. Like, because we were just, I took care of them. So I believe that even the younger generations, they're just not being taught right. And that's part of the problem. Like, we don't, there's so much divorce now that men aren't even around for kids to know what they're supposed to be doing. That's problematic.
Yeah.
If men aren't showing up to be with their kids to show by example, they're never going to know, because women could yell and say things until they're blue in the face, but not until they're shown how to act will they know.
Well, that's a good segue to this next question. Is the shift in relationships and men and women having more equal roles killing marriages?
Sounds like it is from the divorce rate.
Yeah, I don't believe that it's 50% anymore. It's a little less.
No, I think it's more from what I've been hearing.
Here's the bigger one. Let's say it's 50%.
Okay.
We'll play the evens.
Mm-hmm.
80% of divorces are started by women. So I don't know if it's a huge shift for the chivalry part, because I think you can be the most chivalrous person in the world and still lose a lady.
Oh, yeah.
Or vice versa. If you're not chivalrous, you could easily lose a man. I think if it all matters what you're looking for. I do believe that having equal roles probably has hurt chivalry, because now I think a lot of men are just like, you want to be an equal. Why should I do any of this?
Right.
And that's just being honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to see why that might happen, because why should men now be chivalrous when, and again, I'm looking on the outside before anyone wants to give me shit, but why when women don't appreciate it? Like,
well, first of all, I think that men have let women get a little out of control. I think that we live in a world where men need to take back some of their power and say, you know what, you're being an asshole. I'm doing the right thing. You're being an asshole. Mm-hmm. So figure it out, or you just won't be with me. I think that we have put men in such a position where they're afraid to be the man, and they just got to rise up and say, no, we're not putting up with this shit. You may not like it, but that's on you. That's your problem. You need to fix, not me.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think the paradox of choice is kind of a problem as well, where now I think people get in relationships now and it's too easy to just move on. Mm-hmm. You text the male or female friend in your life and now you have attention again. So it's easy. You go to your app and just start swiping again and you start getting attention again. So there's no staying. So it doesn't matter what you do in a relationship.
But you never
now.
Get to the good part of a relationship if you're always looking for the foot out.
I definitely agree with you. There's no argument there.
And nobody's perfect. You know what I mean? I like a person that's real. I like a person that shows up and is consistent. I like a person who makes me a priority, but they don't need to have a shit ton of money in the bank and a brand new car and no baby mama drama, and they have to have their own place. Like, come on, these are just things. If you're a good partner, you could create all of that with your partner. You
Correct.
don't need to be, a perfect man to be loved. As a matter of fact, I personally like a person that's just real. If you could be real with me and I could be real with you, and at the end of the day, we could lay down together and love on each other, that's a good day. Mm-hmm. You don't need to be perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not even going to try to put that facade out there. So why would I expect my partner to be perfect? I just need them to be perfect for me.
Exactly. Bring your flaws.
Yeah.
Your flaws is what make you. A perfect person is an absolute, fallacy.
A bore. because
but it's a fallacy.
Mhm.
There are no perfect people.
And there's no room for change or improvement if you're already perfect.
My ex-wife said something to a lot of her friends saying that I was just too good of a person. I was too nice, which looking back on it kind of was a kick in the nuts, because I mean, maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. But at the end of the day, it's like, bring your flaws, because your flaws are what's going to bring out the best things in both of you. It's going to, and you're going to love the person for exactly who they are, not some mask they wear.
And when somebody is deficient in one area, their partner could be totally together in that area, but there's going to be deficiency on both sides, and there's going to be excellence in both sides.
Yeah.
You just need to find someone that all of that meshes together.
Yeah. Here's one for you. Is it a step back for women to let a man take care of them in some ways?
Oh no. A step back. When did it become a problem to have support?
Tina, I wonder.
I do too, because man, being single and not having that support, it sucks. It really does. I am capable of doing it all myself. I've been proven that I'm doing it. And I think I needed that for my own self-confidence. But damn, it's nice to have support.
Yeah. I
Totally.
mean, don't we? We all want that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Let's see. Let's say.
But I also think a man should want that from a woman too. And sometimes men are so masculine, or they're so, I got to do all this, that they forget that there's supposed to be an ebb and flow of energy between a man and a woman. Sure. It's not that chivalry is being knocked in any way, but don't you want a woman that has your back as well? I would say that's only going to make the relationship really strong.
Yeah, that's part of, we all have needs. Mm-hmm. The problem is that no one tells you what they are. Mm-hmm. Because we're so afraid to say something because we might lose them over it. It's like that's why for me, it's if you like somebody and you've talked and you're going through these steps and you're pouring your heart out to somebody, those are the ways that you make the most solid, concrete relationship ever.
And as a woman, if somebody is pulling or pouring their heart out to you, it is never your job to make them feel weak or make them feel worthless or anything like that. If somebody, as just as a woman, if somebody's telling you what they're going through and you're not supportive, I have to call bullshit on that, because women are supposed to be nurturers, and they're supposed to be supportive, and they're supposed to be empathetic. And if they're not, you don't want to be with somebody like that anyway.
Yeah. And I think, and vice versa. Look, do men have less empathy? Probably. Mm-hmm. But I think that you have to have some. You have to be able to look at your mate and go, what is wrong? What's going on? And as a mate, both sides, neither of you can go, nothing, everything's fine.
But you know what? Instead of saying what's wrong, go up and just give the person a hug and say, hey, how can I be supportive to you? How can I help you through this? So like a lot of people, they don't like to tell you what's going on anyway. And they have struggles that they need to go through on their own. Given, I get it. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you need to be a little bit softer, especially a woman, and go up and hug them and say, hey, whatever you're going through, I'm here. I got you, and it'll be all right. And when you're ready to talk, I got you.
Here's a great little line on here. I think this is for you on your side. It's okay for women to give themselves permission to accept chivalrous acts. By far. So how do modern women do that? How do you, because of, and again, outside of our age group, even though I still think it's inside there, how do women just go, it's okay for them to do this? How do you let go of that?
You just need to stop being an asshole. You know what I mean? Just let them do it. Let them give it a shot. You know, if they fail miserably, that's something where you could just say something. Hey, you know, I really like when you open the door for me. Can you do that for me? And
I think that's gold.
And here's the deal. It's not, you asshole, you never open the door. Why don't you open the door? Because I find that the way we talk to men forces their reaction. So if I say, hey, sweetheart, I love when you open the door for me. Will you do that more? Yeah. And do it soft and kind and loving. I notice men will do anything when you're just nice to them.
And vice versa.
You know, it doesn't need to be a big freaking deal. Why are we making all this a big fucking deal?
Because you're right. Communication is lacking. I think if you go to your lady as well and go, just like you just said, like, I love when you wear this perfume, or I love when you smell good all the time. Mm-hmm. You're going to get the response that you're looking for, because you're not telling them, I want you to do this more. You're saying, I really enjoy when you do this.
I'm really attracted to you.
Yes.
When you do that.
If you say that to, I think if you say that to either sex,
I'm kind of weird like that, because when I see especially a man doing something that, like washing the dishes, I go, ooh, that is damn sexy. Now, the guys are like, yeah, Tina, I'm over you. You know, you say that shit all the time. But in reality, I'm not lying. I think it is sexy when a guy does that. I think you're going to clean up after yourself. Fuck yeah. I love that. Why wouldn't I encourage it? I think that if women were like that more with men and just really laid it on and built them up, we would have a better society in general.
And you'd have way more chivalrous acts.
And we'd have happy men in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Here's the next one. Letting a man or expecting a man to do some things does not make the woman less of a woman. I agree with that.
I do too. But the expectation part, like, should you expect things? I don't know if you could really do that with certain people, but no, it doesn't make you less of a woman. Actually, you know, to be able to not give up control, but to like kind of hand it over freely and give it to somebody in trust makes you more of a woman.
I think it makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example. And I don't want to say for sure, but I know that she talked about it before with me. My friend down the street was like, she just doesn't like doing dishes. Mm-hmm. But cleaning the house, she reminds me a lot of my mom. We used to have discussions about her mixing chemicals and dyeing in the bathtub.
Oh yeah, my mom was like really, that too.
And my friend down the street does that as well. She's like crazy cleaner, but she's not a dishes person. And she's kind of, you know, was talking about one day like, oh, you know, if we were ever together, blah, 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 would you do the dishes? And I was like, of course, because that doesn't make you weak that you don't want to do the womanly thing. And that doesn't make me weak wanting to do it. Mm-hmm. That's teamwork. Sometimes you're not going to want to do something, and it's okay to be a different member of the team, because look, if you're both doing your thing, it's great. If the woman's doing, 40% and the man's doing 60, it's still a team, and it's okay, because maybe she's doing something else that's helping out elsewhere. And I think that that's the bigger thing, that taking on a chivalrous act is okay. It doesn't make a woman weak. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that you can't open up the fucking door for yourself. That's nonsensical. We know you can open up the door. It's something that makes a man feel manlier, and that's okay.
And I think that as we've gone along, even me, like, I'm not great at the whole chivalry thing, like allowing it to happen. I have to rewind myself and say, Teen, don't do that. Don't do that. Let him do it. And it's very hard. Like, for instance, I went with one of my friends from El Paso to Olive Garden, and there are 2 doors. We walked up to the first door. I did stop, let him open the door, but then there was a second one a few feet away. And I grabbed the door and I opened it, and I said to him, because he's very chivalrous. And I asked him, I said, what should I have done in that situation? He goes, well, if you're coming from that place, you should have sat there and let me open up the second door. I was right behind you. And I said, but I feel like I should contribute. He goes, you're in my presence. You already did. And I thought, fuck yeah, that's the way to tell me how to do something. Because it wasn't mean. It wasn't. And I truly didn't, it's like, fuck, you already opened the door. Like, I got this. But he said, it's still okay. It's still okay for you to sit there and just look cute. Just look cute and let me open the door for you. And I thought that, okay, I could do that.
Again, the other day at the gym, we walked through a door. There's another set of doors to go out to the parking lot. I went and opened the second set of doors. In that case where like in a restaurant where you have the double doors, you walk inside, you stop. You let me walk past you. I open the door and let you go through the next door.
That's exactly what he said. And I was like, all right, I could do that.
And I would probably remind somebody that I would prefer to do that. I would say, look, I want to make sure that you, a lot of it comes from the old days of like presenting your woman. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking way back, that when you walked through the door, you were letting everyone know that was your person, which I think is something missing today. If you're proud of the person you're with, and I'm saying this as a man doing the chivalrous part, I want to make sure that when that she walks through, she feels like she's with somebody who she gives a shit about. Mm-hmm. So this is the last line of our show notes, and we're, but I think we kind of already said this, but I think it's something that we need to say out loud again. Being vulnerable to a man you deeply care about is a sign of strength.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that when you have a partner, you should be able to be completely raw and open with that person, and they should be able to be the same. And still, you hold up one another and you take your active roles.
I totally agree. I think both sides of that. Being vulnerable to a woman you deeply care about is a sign of strength.
Absolutely.
Both sides of that.
A sign of trust. When you're opening your heart and you're telling your person everything there is to say on a day to day, and you're talking and you've got that discussion going on, that's what relationships are supposed to be. And it's not you're venting or you're saying how horrible life is and you're just like throwing all your shit on somebody else. That's not what it is. It's more about the interaction that should be going on, because the support should be on both sides. Mm-hmm. And women should be a little softer and allow for men to do that, because I am so heartbroken that I keep hearing men suffer in silence. That bothers me. And it bothers me a lot, because nobody should be suffering in silence. Nobody.
I agree. I think that the biggest thing that I'll say about this thing, being chivalrous, is a amazing thing. I think men should all do it, regardless of your age.
Don't stop doing it. Let women get their head out of their ass and start putting time into something that they want in a relationship as well.
And the other thing about a relationship that kind of you just said, look, the whole part of getting in a relationship is giving someone your heart and trusting they won't hurt it.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid of that, you're never going to try it. I'm willing to do that. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to be willing to get your heart broke, because if you're not, you're never going to be in any kind of happy relationship, because the whole point of it is giving your heart to somebody and saying, please don't break this. And that's part of that. The chivalrous part is showing that your mate, and again, from a man point of view, because chivalry is generally there, is just showing your mate that you give a shit and you care and that you want to make sure.
Showing up. Yeah. She's showing up to be with you.
Yeah.
I'm not great at it. I told you, I open my own doors, but if I'm told like consecutively, hey, I got you, I would never open another door again. You know what I mean? I don't know. women have been raised that they have to be everything now. And I was definitely one of those people. And I'm expected in my family to be everything. So I have a hard time with that. But it's not that I don't enjoy it or that I don't respect it or that I don't admire that in a man, because those are things that I really do admire in a man. And I don't date people that aren't like that either.
I just think that we need to stop thinking that chivalry is toxic masculinity in some kind of, bullshit rap. It's some people just want to make you feel like a lady, and some men want their lady to make them feel like a man. And if we can get to that center point again, I think relationships will be a much better place, and you'll probably end up with the people that you want to be with. Mm-hmm. Because two independent people can be in a relationship together, but it's probably not very loving. I need somebody who wants me there every day. And even if I'm being a prick, can go, hey, you're being kind of an asshole today. What's happening? And not it be a fight. It just be like, oh, hold on a second. You know what? I had this bad day. But I think a lot of people are also missing the point when it comes to relationships, about just daily communication. It's okay to sit down on a couch for 10 minutes when you get home. You don't have to rush to have dinner. Mm-hmm. Hey, what happened today? Everything good? What's going on in life? Is there anything I can do for you this week? Whatever these things are. I think we're missing that part. And I think because so many people have been in shitty relationships that have fucked them up, that now they don't trust anyone. And we all have to start trusting a little bit more. And when you start trusting a little bit more, you'll probably end up with a guy who's very chivalrous and wants to take care of you.
And remember, broken people hurt people. Broken people will break people. So if that's the case, you got to, and you've gone through that in a relationship, know that is something that they were showing you that they're having issues with. That doesn't mean that all one side or the other are wrong. It just mm-hmm. means that person was too unhealthy to be what they needed to be with you. And it's okay to let that go and look for somebody that's not that broken.
All right. Well, it's nice to know that chivalry isn't dead, Tina, because I think that
it's damn sexy, Rob. Just own it.
But look, we come from that. I think that our generation, unfortunately, may be the last. I'm hoping not, but I'm doing my best to push forward with my son and teach him. I will say something that kind of freaked me out though, and I don't know about you if you would do it or not, about getting married. I heard something online the other day, and I know this is off topic, but you know that a lot of women now who want to get married won't take a man's last name.
I had a hard time with that too, because I got married at 30, almost 35. And I had a hard time with that. I hyphenated. I couldn't do that either. It would either take my name or don't. Well, if it was a problem for my ex, he would have said so, and I would have been like, fine, because you do have to compromise. And that is what traditionally was done.
Yeah, I just think it means something. But my thing is that I asked him to do it. I asked my kid what he would do. And I said, if you wanted to marry somebody and they didn't want to take your last name, what would you do? And he goes, I wouldn't marry him.
There's that too.
I was like, wow. And I kind of thought that was weird. Anyway, it was off topic. We could probably do a show on that later on. Any last words for the chivalrous men out there?
Don't stop being chivalrous. And women, just be kind. Can we quit being assholes to each other, please?
Yeah, there you go.
That's where I'm at.
I'm going to leave it with that because I don't think I can top it. Hey, check out our social medias, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube Music, Apple, Spotify, all those places you can hear the show. Please share it. We've had a really good May. Like lots of people were listening this month.
Nice.
And that's the thing. So if you like the show, share it with everyone that you can. Just send a link to all your friends and family and warn them that we curse. And we've had a good time. Thanks for 150 episodes. It means a lot to us. And hopefully we'll see you on the next 50. This is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. Keep coming back every Wednesday. For my co-host Tina, I am Rob, and we will see you in a week. Later.
See ya.